He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
oh, what a sweetheart. Precious. How old is
I just muted everyone. I'm now going to also stop the music. And I'm hoping that works. Give me one moment to stop the music on my computer now. Why am I hearing this still? Well, that could be the problem. Give me 1 second. There we go. We're going to begin in just about 10 seconds. I'm just rearranging my screen so I can do everything easily during this service. So I want to begin by saying Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I know we have a number of guests tonight. Thank you for coming as we kick off Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month. Shelley Christensen, in the Jewish Community Guide to Inclusion for People with Disabilities, she wrote, "We do not do things for people with disabilities. We do things with people with disabilities." So as we pray tonight, let us remember that each one of us is unique, that each one of us has strengths, that each one of us has challenges. Our goal as a religious community is to include everyone. And I have to tell you, we've been working on that, probably for the last 10 years. As you know, a few years ago, we created a bima that would allow anyone to come forward and to stand upon it or to take a wheelchair up. It was created so everyone could be present on the bima, fulfilling religious responsibilities and sharing in community activities. And then last year, we decided to create a board position whose portfolio would include inclusion for those with disabilities. And Lisa Sage became, the first person to hold this position. This is a big month for her because it is Jewish Disability and Inclusion Month. Just a few days ago, she spoke to some of our religious school students. Tonight, she is speaking to us. Tuesday night, she's speaking to our teens. On February 22nd, she is running a panel that includes a number of really of thoughtful speakers reflecting on what it means to participate in the act of inclusion. We also have Matan to hear tonight. Matan is a Jewish community professional who works in this field, and we're going to give him a minute or two to introduce himself towards the end of the service. But it's important for inclusion that we always think about others, that we don't cut anyone out of our circle of friends or our circle of, those who come together to pray. We always need to remember to be inclusive. And sometimes that's really hard to do because we know the people we know. We like to do the things we like to do. But sometimes we have to go beyond our comfort zone to create a greater and a larger community. So now, as an act of inclusion, I'd like everyone to write Shabbat greetings in the chat window for people you know and people you don't know. Say Shabbat Shalom, say whatever you would like that is a positive, warm greeting. And as you do, Cantor is going to lead us in Shalom Aleichem, found on page 142. Cantor.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Oy, 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 mi melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. מי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון. אוי 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 מי מלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We continue with our warm-up into Shabbat with Lachu Narana Na, found on page 130. The Cantor and Shai will lead us in this song of joy and praise. Cantor?
לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור אישנו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נריע נתניע לצור אישנו, נקדמה פניו בתודה. נריע נריע לצור אישנו, בזמירות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. Rabbi John, unmute.
So Moses said to God. So Moses said to God, I am slow of speech and heavy of tongue. And God responded, who made man's mouth? Or who makes one mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Isn't it I, God? And then God makes an accommodation for Moses by providing Aaron to speak for him. And then later in Exodus, after Moses comes down Mount Sinai the second time, his face is aglow, literally glowing. His contact with holiness has made him different. And this scares the Israelites, so for the rest of his life, he has to cover his face with a veil. He must hide his difference. The Israelites, well, they could not understand his change, and it made them fearful. So should we be like God, where we make accommodations, where we find ways to work with everyone? Or do we just show fear and ask people to hide themselves away? We have to remember that in Genesis, we are taught about B'Tselem Elohim, that we are each created in God's image. Each one of us is unique, and each one of us is holy, just like God. If we remember that, then we will remember to treat each other with respect, and then we will be a true kehillah, a true community. So let us remember as we turn to Yaghoobia on page 138, that the Shabbat bride makes no exceptions. She comes for everyone. She comes to give us joy, to give us Shabbat, to brighten the next 24 hours. We're on page 138. We'll be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, rising on the last verse. I'm going to turn it over to the Cantor.
לך דודי לי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise and face the door, and if you are not able, then you stand up with your spirit. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
And now I'm going to ask my wife, Lisa, to light the Shabbat candles. Lisa, I believe you're a co-host, so if you could start talking, I'll mute myself and we should see you.
Let me go like this. Like that. Okay. Can't really see these, but okay, there we go. So do you want me to explain about my candlestick, our candlesticks? Okay, so 18 years ago, we lived in Israel for a year when John was in rabbinic school. And these candles, we bought these candles on a street called Yoel Solomon, one of my favorite little streets in Jerusalem, with lots of cute little boutiques and things. And it came from an all-women's art collective. So when you purchase them, you not only help support the individual artists, but you were helping support this whole collective of women artists. So we thought that was kind of cool. And now every time when we light it, it brings us back to that year we spent in Israel, which was incredible. So here we go.
La 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר וציוונו להדליק נר וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
We now continue with the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu is found on page 146. We've been warming up our souls so we can enter the heart of prayer. And the heart of prayer begins with the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, a call and response, a moment where the Cantor says to us, are you ready to pray? And we respond with full heart, yes, we are. If you're able, please rise for the Baruch Hu.
Lai la 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 lai lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please remain standing if you are standing. A rabbi's prayer written by Rabbi Sean Fields Meyer. Dear God, grant me the eyes to see and the heart to understand. Like Moses, our greatest rabbi, Moses helped me to see clearly what others might not see, to visualize a better time and a better reality, and to empower my community to do the hard work to get to that better place. Dear God, as you did for Moses at the burning bush, allow me to see the fire burning within those who are different, unusual, remarkable. Help me as you helped Moses to see in that fire not something frightening or dangerous, but something precious, illuminating, holy. Please, God, help me not only to see and understand these miracles, but to share them with my community as well. Let's take a moment to cover our eyes, and then Cantor will lead us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
If you're standing, you may be seated. We continue with the V'ahavta, found on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת פעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Our rabbis taught, I am God's creature and my fellow is God's creature. My work is in the city and their work is in the field. I rise early for what I do and they might rise late for what they do. Just as they presume not to do my work, I do not presume to do theirs. Yes, we might seem to be different. So you may say that I do a lot and they do a little. But we have a tradition. One may do much or one may do little. One may rise early and go to bed early or rise late and go to bed late. It is all the same, provided one directs one's heart to heaven. We can all be very different, the way we work, the way we look, the way we act, the way we speak, the way we interact. Yet if we direct our heart to heaven, to holiness, then we're all on the same journey, we're all on the same path, we are all part of the same kehilah. We can we can create community through prayer, through praise, through song, and through joy. We can come together regardless of our differences. And what could be a better way to come together in joy and in happiness than the singing of Micha Mocha. Page 158, Micha Mocha, turning it over to the Cantor.
מי כמוך פעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We now take a moment for the Misha Berach prayer. We say the Misha Berach for those who are ill of mind, body, or spirit. And as you all know, there are so many people who are ill in this world at this very moment. And we have to thank you for the miracle. Thank humanity for the miracle, the godly miracle of the vaccines that are slowly coming out, that will soon be hopefully in every arm, so that we can return to normal, or a new state of normal. On our Misha Barak list tonight, as I read this list, please add additional names for those who need a healing prayer, and I'll read them afterwards. Please use your chat window for that. So on our Misha Barak list, Pamela Abraham, Hillel Baldwin, Sigal Barsadi, Lenore Benjamin, Bert Brooks, Nancy Braun, Lucy Brunson, Debbie Dunner, Jackie Edery, Suzanne Gallant, Phyllis and Martin Gilmore, Michelle Gordon, David Hammer, Mark Henderson, Paul Hittleman, Herb Jaffe, Brett Kerner, Posey Kramer, Susan Landau, Stan Lieber, Jody Migdal, Arlene Nyberg, Joe Norden, Claire Weiss, Faye Willard, Ruth Bat Michal. We also remember those, or we think about those, who were injured by insurgents during the Capitol riot, who are still healing both physically and mentally. We remember those battling COVID-19. And of course, we show honor and respect to everyone caring for those who are ill. We have additional names: Dave Oren and Bethany Love, Barbara and Ted Korshak, Ken Kramertz, Yvette Katz, Cindy Emanuel. Mishaberach Avatenu Vimatenu. May the God of our ancestors grant refuah shlema, a complete and full healing to all those we name tonight and to all those we hold in our hearts. Together we say, Amen. Cantor.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. מי שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Many have learned that a person who hears less may see more, and one who sees less may perceive more, and one who speaks slowly may have more to share, and a person who moves with difficulty may have a clearer sense of direction. So let us rise, all of us spiritually, and some of us physically, for the Amidah. We are on page 164. Cantor.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מחלקל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ולמען אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue to page 180. If you have a book, if not, please pray whatever is inside of your heart.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי רגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
meditations of my heart be acceptable, if only unto you, oh God, my rock, creator of my soul. Adonai, my Redeemer, Adonai, my Redeemer.
It's my honor to welcome tonight's guest speaker, who is, well, a member of our congregation. And I wanted to just do a quick introduction. In case you don't know Lisa Sage, she received her bachelor's degree in human development from UC Riverside, where she was co-president of the Disabled Student Union. She went on to attain her master's degree in public health from California State University, Northridge. She then worked for the LA County Health Department for over 26 years as a health educator. During her retirement, right now, she keeps busy as a volunteer with Respectability and Kol Tikva. She's on our board and she is the trustee of diversity and inclusion. So Lisa, if you unmute yourself and start talking, I believe you should appear.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming. There are several types of disabilities, including physical, visible and non-visible, sensory, mental, psychological, learning disabilities, acquired disabilities such as paralysis from an accident or stroke, those that could be from birth or childhood, etc. Moses had a speech impediment. He stuttered. And President Biden also has the same disability. Helen Keller was deaf, blind, and mute. Harriet Tubman was illiterate. These are just a few examples of great people who had or have some type of disability. So what about Lisa Sage? What is her story? Let me tell you. Just a note, this is a shortened summary version due to time allotted. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, and when I was almost 4 years old, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. It took the doctors a while to diagnose me because back then they didn't realize that kids could get arthritis. The doctors told my parents that it would be better to move somewhere where the weather was warmer most of the time. Since my dad was a school teacher, he decided it would be either Arizona or California. He looked at a couple of places in Arizona, but he didn't like it there. Soon after that, my parents found a house in Palm Springs, California, and we moved into that house when I was almost 6 years old. I lived in Palm Springs until I graduated high school and then moved away to go to college at UC Riverside. While I was living in Palm Springs as a young child, I was the only one in my school that was disabled. The kids teased me and made fun of me all the time for being in a wheelchair and later for being Jewish, and that hurt my feelings. When I started attending junior high school, I started to make more friends, but I would only have 1 or 2 good friends at a time. I was shy most of my childhood, and I later learned that I had a low self-esteem. I received several awards and honors in junior high, and in high school, I was elected junior class president after a runoff election. I was in charge of putting on the senior prom, and it was a huge job. I was in charge of several committees, and even though I didn't have a date for the prom, I went anyway to see how it all turned out. My hard work paid off, and it turned out very nice. I was proud of my accomplishment. As for my arthritis and my disability, I have had 13 surgeries in my life. My first surgery was when I was 8 years old. The second was when I was 9 years old. And then I had 4 surgeries in 1 year when I was 16 and 17 years old, all in 1 year, my junior and senior years of high school, from June to June. They were 2 knee replacements and 2 hip replacements. Before my replacement surgeries, I was in so much pain, I could hardly walk, and I was having suicidal thoughts. After my first replacement surgery, after recovering, I felt so much better. Even though I missed school due to my several surgeries and recoveries, I brought my homework to the hospital, stayed up with my classes, and all my teachers were so impressed with me and my work. I also graduated on time, and our graduation ceremony was outside, and I ended up parking my wheelchair off to the side and walking with crutches to receive my diploma. And I got a standing ovation from my class and others attending. That made me feel so proud. There was only one other person in my class in high school that was in a wheelchair, and she became a good friend of mine, and we even went to camp together, and she was also Jewish. We also ended up going to UC Riverside together. I started volunteering when I was a preteen, and I continue to volunteer to this day. My parents taught me the value of volunteering. When we give our time and energy to others, it brings them joy, and we also receive joy. And sometimes a volunteer opportunity can lead to a paid job in the future, or at least connections to other people and resources. That was one of the things that helped me get into college, and that was on my essay on why they should accept me into college. I also started my first part-time job as a teen, I think I was a teenager, selling stationery door to door, and then selling newspapers in front of the post office. When I was researching several colleges and universities, including visiting the campuses, I really liked what I saw at UC Riverside and was happy to be accepted there. It was close enough to visit my parents, but far enough away that I had my own space to grow and mature emotionally and physically. I lived in the dorms my first 2 years, and with the help of professionals and my new friends, I overcame my shyness and became a social butterfly. I went to dances on the weekends and sometimes stayed up all night finishing a paper or project for school. UC Riverside was a small campus, and when I first started there, they only had about 5,000 students, including graduate students. The campus was very accessible for people in wheelchairs. Almost every single building had electric doors, so I wouldn't have to wait for anyone to open the door for me. Even several of the women's restrooms had push buttons on the door so I could let myself in and out. They also had a very good learning center that helped students with disabilities in order to have more time to do their tests and write their essays, or help people write. And that helped me a great deal, especially because it was difficult for me to write a lot with my arthritis in my hands. At that time, there weren't computers yet, and there was no dictating into a phone or a tablet like we have nowadays. They didn't even have cell phones back then. I was proud of myself for graduating in 4 years, as I went to summer school every year. I also made several good friends. I was co-president of the Disabled Student Union, and I was on a bowling team with 3 other people, 2 women and 2 men, who also used wheelchairs for different disabilities. And we were the only team in the league that had disabilities. And we came in second place in the league. I was so happy about that. They had bowling ramps where people that came with us to the games would help us put the bowling ball on the ramp. We would decide where to put the ramp, and then they would help hold the ramp if we needed help to hold it. And we would push the ball down the ramp. Those were the good old days of my good scores with bowling. I have a lot of good memories from UC Riverside. There were some challenges as well because they were on the quarter system, which means there are only 9 weeks in the quarter, including finals week. It was very stressful getting all of the work done on time and doing well at it. I didn't do as well academically as I would have liked, but socially and emotionally, I grew a lot as a person and learned a lot about myself. With the therapist's help and my new friends, my self-esteem gradually increased. When I moved on to Cal State Northridge, it was very different, but I also enjoyed it there for different reasons. I found out about the field of health education, or maybe before I left there, I found out about it. And that is what I decided to study, and I'm glad I did. I wasn't sure if I wanted to teach, be a social worker, or a psychologist, but I decided I didn't want to listen to people's problems every day. When I found out about health education, a person can do both teaching and counseling, I thought, wow, what a great idea. Combination of both things that I wanted to do. I was fortunate to be able to take electives my first few years there, and I took adaptive PE classes. These were exercises designed for each student according to their disability, and the students who helped us with our exercises were studying to be either physical therapists or kinesiologists. That was 2 days a week, and then on Fridays, I took an adapted sports class, which was a lot of fun, as we played several sports, including wheelchairs, basketball, tennis, volleyball, racquetball, badminton, and more. So I not only learned and studied, but I got my exercise and had fun exercising as well. We all have our struggles or challenges in life, whether we have disabilities or not. It is how we learn to adapt to our difficulties in life and deal with them. We don't always appreciate what we have until we have a problem, such as you hurt your thumb or hand cooking or doing something you normally do. And then you realize how important that thumb or hand is in your life. And now maybe you can't use it like you could before because that is usually temporary until the injury heals. People who have permanent disabilities have challenges every day, and some of us more than others. I learned at a young age a couple of sayings. One was, everything happens for a reason. And another was, God doesn't give us what we can't handle. I don't remember who told me or taught me these things, but being a part of Kol Tikva for several years now has helped me become not only more spiritual, but more religious. I want to thank everyone here at Kol Tikva who has been there for me when I really needed someone, and I want to start with Sam Wildman. She helped me after one of my surgeries and welcomed me into her home for one of the Jewish holidays. She picked me up when I couldn't drive and hosted me to a nice dinner and her wonderful family. She also helped me in many other ways over the years. I also want to thank Tova and the choir we had several years ago. That was another thing that attracted me to Kol Tikva was their amazing choir. When I first came to a service several years ago by myself, maybe in 1997, I wasn't expecting to hear the choir singing, but they were there and they were performing several songs to Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I thought it was awesome. I loved it and wanted to join the choir after that. As most of you know, I sang in the choir for several years. I love music and started playing an instrument in 3rd grade. I learned how to read music as a child as well. In the last few years, I have made new friends at Temple with different classes, etc. I also want to thank Cantor Noah, Sam Klein, and Rabbi John for all of their support, kindness, and teachings. I also want to thank Laureen, Karen Friedman, and Jessica for all their support, especially in preparing the newsletters for the emails to promote Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month and me. I also want to thank Corey Garson, and I don't know all the other people's names, I'm sorry, several others for donating money to build ramps so that I and others who use wheelchairs or who use walkers or canes are able to get up to the bima. And I heard, Rabbi, you spoke about that at the beginning. Thank you. No other synagogue that I know of has done this, and the best part was I never asked the temple to do this. I also want to thank the temple board as they made a position on the board for me to join. Therefore, I feel very included here at Kol Tikva as a Jewish person with a disability. Finally, I want to thank my family who are here tonight. My mom and my aunt are here, my mom's friend Robin, for all of their support and love. And I want to thank my temple family and friends. And my other friends from our trip to Europe are here, Andy and Judy, and my other new friends who are here, Matan and Dr. Darvish, and they're going to be in the panel with me in a couple of weeks. In conclusion, people have disabilities, but each of us is an individual person, and we want to be known and appreciated for our talents, skills, and abilities. rather than being known as a person who has a disability. I always used to say, I have arthritis, but it doesn't have me. Even though my life has at times been difficult and painful, both physically and emotionally, living with arthritis, my life would be totally different if I didn't have it. I would probably still be in Michigan and probably wouldn't have met the same people or had all of the wonderful experiences in life, including being blessed with good friends, family, and my temple community. I want to thank everyone for being here, supporting me on Jewish Disability Awareness Month, Awareness and Inclusion Month, and I hope you learned something tonight. I also hope you will join us on February 22nd for a panel discussion for more awareness and education. As a health educator and a person, I practice what I preach. I continue to exercise daily for my physical and mental health. I eat healthy most of the time for my mental health, my body, and my arthritis. I hope next year we can all celebrate this Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month in person. Thank you again, and Shabbat Shalom.
Lisa, I cannot thank you enough for your beautiful words and for sharing your story. Because when we get to hear each other's stories, we really learn about one another and we learn about an idea, inclusion, in a very different way. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It was really wonderful. And as you can tell from all the chat window, Yasher Koaks, you've touched many hearts tonight. And I do want to emphasize that we're doing a co-program with TAS, Temple Avat Shalom, Rabbi Becky's new temple, on February 22nd. Well, there will be a panel discussion. It's like our typical Monday night meetings we had at the beginning of the pandemic. We're doing another one on February 22nd, and Lisa is putting this together. One of the speakers that night will be Matan Kak, who has become really one of the leading professionals in this area since his arrival in LA, I think about a year or two ago. And I wanted to ask Matan if he could just take a moment and share a few words with us. I'm trying to see if I can unmute you, though. Give me one second.
I think I'm unmuted.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
There we go. Thank you, Rabbi John. And before I say anything, a huge yasher koach to Lisa. Wonderful job. Well done. I'm privileged to have had the chance to be here and to see it. I'm also privileged to be the director of California and Jewish Leadership, an organization called Respectability. And if you look at my handy backdrop, it it makes quite clear where is respectability. And really, I'm privileged to be in town helping the Los Angeles Jewish community to be able to recognize and receive and experience the talents of people with disabilities. And I don't think I need to say much more than that here because we witnessed it. You have in your community this gem, Lisa Sage, who has been with you now for quite some time, but is finding new ways to contribute and to lead and to guide your community. And that at Respectability is what we call a success story. That is what we want. What we want is communities that are enriched by the wonderful talent that is here. And so I'm privileged to be in LA and to help facilitate that outcome. So with that, I will wish you all Shabbat Shalom. I will have an opportunity to speak in a few weeks. I hope you'll come back to hear me and Lisa and Dr. Darvish speak at greater length. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Matan. I look forward to February 22nd. So now it's my honor to ask our board host, Roland Menschel, to please join us. Hopefully his daughter is with him because she is so adorable. But if not, we'll settle just for Roland. Here we go. Start speaking.
And Anita. We have Roland and Anita. You
Will
don't
we settle for me?
Do not forget my wife. Darla has built a fort, and she is sitting in it right now.
Yeah.
But we are listening in the living room. So thank you so much, Rabbi John. Thank you, Cantor and Shai. Every time I'm here, I tell you how much I absolutely adore you, and I'm so thankful to have both of you just representing song on Friday nights. And thank you, Erev Rabbi Sam. Thank you, Karen Friedman. She is our favorite IT specialist. IT specialist. And Lisa, thank you so much for your wonderful and inspirational words. So heartfelt and moving, and I appreciate that. So now some announcements. February is Jewish Diversity Month and Inclusion Month. We are saving the date for a joint community meeting. I believe Rabbi John just mentioned this. Monday, February 22nd at 5:30 with Temple Ahavat Shalom, as we learn more about this topic with a panel discussion. Upcoming events, please see your Zoom links. Join us for upcoming adult education classes. Sunday, February 7th at 11 a.m., we have Introduction to Judaism. It is class number 4, but that does not mean you cannot join if you did not do class number 1, 2, and 3. The fundamentals of Jewish thought and practice will be explored through the lens of Reform Judaism. This class is an introspective look at Judaism as a religion and as a culture. Class series is taught by Rabbi John Hanish. I hear he's a great guy. Cantor Noah Shaashua, Erev Rabbi Sam Klein, and rabbinic intern Jade Goldstein Abramson. Welcome. Monday, February 8th at 11:30 a.m., join us for our weekly Torah study. It's just a great book, really good read. Also on Monday the 8th at 7 p.m., we are very excited to join Cantor Noah for her Jewish jazz class. Come and explore jazz through a Jewish lens. In this 3-week class, we will explore different Jewish influences on jazz, cultural impact, and enjoy a blissful array of jazz music. Wednesday the 10th at 7:30 p.m., Kol Tikva members are invited to our KT Book Club. This will be moderated by the wonderful Lisa Hanish. Contact the office or Lisa directly for more information. Are you ready for football? 2 days until the big game. It's not too late to get your squares in the Super Bowl pool. Squares are $25 each and prizes are $100 for the winners of the first 3 quarters, $250 for the end of the game score. Have some fun and support our community, more importantly, on Super Bowl Sunday. Go to koltikva.org/Super Bowl to purchase your squares. Feeling lucky? Our annual poker tournament is coming soon. March 14th, we will have our 10th annual poker tournament. This will be a completely virtual event with real dealers at each table, put on by a professional company, and I understand it's just done so wonderfully. You can be a beginner, you can be a novice, you can be a pro. There will be some fun, obviously, great prizes. You can even play in your PJs. Go to koltikva.org/event/poker. Registration is only $75 this year. Any poker player that also participates in our football squares will receive extra bonus chips at the tournament. I will be presenting cliff notes of these announcements at the end. Save the date for our annual gala. We know that that is the event of the year, and it is going to be a completely virtual event. It'll be Saturday, May 8th, honoring the West Valley Food Pantry with the Tikkun Olam Award. If you would like to join the committee, please contact Gala Chair Rachel Rappaport or Karen Friedman. If you have items to donate to the auction or wish to sponsor the event, please contact the Temple office or program director at koltikva.org. That is the email. Please give to our virtual tzedakah box this week. All donations will go to the Respectability Organization in honor of Jewish Disabilities Awareness and Inclusion Month. Join us next week for our Lev Shabbat service. On behalf of my wife and my daughter and myself, Shabbat Shalom to all.
Shalom.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate those wonderful announcements. I think they went longer. Whenever you have Roland, he's so entertaining. They go longer than the entire service. Now he's laughing. All right. Great. You're muted now. Fabulous. I do want to mention Lev Shabbat. Lev means heart. And because as Jews, we don't celebrate St. Valentine's Day, we trick our way into it by having a Lev Shabbat next week with some really beautiful music. And if you're in the sanctuary, we might hand you some chocolate kisses and a rose. So just know that it will be a service that focuses on love melodies, or at least fun with love melodies. We're now going to turn to page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish. If you have, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you have additional names that are not on my list, which I'm going to read right now, feel free to add them to the chat window. So we begin to think about those who have departed recently. Claire Levin, remembered by the Ames family. Donald Feinberg, remembered by the Feinberg family. Julio Flores, remembered by the Flores and Sage family. Beatrice Berman, remembered by the Burkow and Berman families. Manny Katz, remembered by the Mandel, Katz, and Novick families. Francis Linsk, remembered by the Kerner, Linsk, Crystal, and Migdal families. Marion Bornstein, remembered by the Ames family. Howard Friedman, remembered by the Friedman family. Louis Cano, remembered by the Cano family and the Kol Tikva community. And Michael Warner, remembered by the Pasternak family. We also think about those who died during this season in years past. Robert Adler, Fanny Ames Fink, Kenny Anderson, Leon Avlas, Bob Cohen, Terry Cook, Nelson Dunner, Hadassah Eschel, Reuben Fenster, Daniel Garnick, Sam Greenspan, George Hoffing, Anna Jaffe, Charles E. Kahn, Samuel Lees, Faye Levy, Barbara June Licker, Fred Machat, Marvin Meyer, Tilly Reitner, Louis Rosen, Joseph Rosenfield, Meyer Sherrick, Tom Sherrick, Ruth Sugarman, Arthur Saran, Arav Nisan Ben Shimshon Verivka, Rabbi Norman Koch. If you have an additional name, please put it in the chat window. Ed Jotkowitz, Christopher Plummer, Leonard Rosenhelm, Stephen Moshi. I'm going to place the words of the Mourner's Kaddish into our chat window. So if you don't have them in front of you, you don't have to turn to page 598 to see them. I'd like those who are in the first 7 days of mourning Shiva to please rise first. I'd like those in the first 30 days of mourning Shloshim, if you're able, to please rise. I'd like those who are in the first year of mourning to please rise. I'd like those observing a yortzeit to please rise. And now as a community, we rise either spiritually or physically to show our support for those who mourn and those who remember. Let's take a moment. Let us think of those we have lost. And now let us recite the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yikadash me Rabbah, B'almad yivrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, B'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agalav yizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarak le'olam olamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'rechu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, Jishbachata v'nechamata, Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya, V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace on high grant peace to all who mourn, to all Israel, and to all humankind. And together we say, Amen. We can all take a seat, and Cantor is going to lead us in a closing song. If you're with people, put your arm around them. If you're not with somebody, then send your essence out, because we are a community across screens, because we have a lot of screens going tonight on Zoom. Cantor?
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. על כל העולם.
And now, while we look at Rob and Terry, we're all going to hold up our Kiddush cups if you have one. And Cantor is going to lead us in a short Kiddush, immediately followed by Hamotzi. Here we go.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ בתיאבון. Rabbi John, you're still muted.
Now I'm going to put us back down to review. And you can unmute yourselves. I never remember to mute everybody perfectly tonight. So I think everyone can unmute and say Shabbat Shalom and talk to one another because the service is over.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yashikar.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye, Mom.
Lisa, you did a great job.
Thank
I wish I could have joined and said something with you, but you did a great job, Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa, you really did. It was wonderful learning more about your life and hearing your stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you,
Shabbat
Lisa.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good night, everyone.
Shabbat everyone.
Talking to you, Mom.
Hi,
Shabbat
Andy.
Shalom.
And Roland, maybe we'll just have you back to do
Hi,
it,
neighbors.
and then we'll have a little bit of service too.
And
It's
good
good
to
to see you all.
Oh, hello. Hi, Nybird.
all three of you.
Hi, Mitchell.
Was the mother there?
Hi,
Karen,
Susan. Hi.
Yes. There are two women and an older woman.
Mwah.
Should we go this way?
Can you scroll to the neighbors? Never mind. They're probably up in there.
Night, all.
Hello.
Hey, Arlene, how we doing? Did we just lose Arlene?
No, I could talk a little bit. Maybe it might help or not. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Vicky.
I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. You can keep talking for a few minutes, but I might go eat dinner. So good to see everybody.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Good night.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome. It was amazing. You made me
Good
cry.
night.
You made me
Aw,
cry. It was so great.
really? Thank
Shabbat
you.
shalom, Lisa. You did a good job. Maybe next time I could join and talk with you. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe we could try talk once we're back to Temple. Maybe we'll talk and you'll be able to understand me.
Okay.
We love you, Vicky.
Okay.
Take care. Good night.